Good evening. How are you? Well, it's another beautiful day out. The sky is cloudy, but the temperature is 81 and the humidity is 54%. And Thomas Jefferson says the wind's at 4 miles an hour, but I can't find it on this road. The aggravation, I feel, I assume may be mirrored by your experience of listening to people who keep scratching their heads like, I don't understand what this means. I don't understand what this means. The words that we use are so imprecise. And because of that, how do we persuade other people that what we're seeing is something they should be concerned about? We can't blame people when we don't explain what we have the time to observe, make conclusions about, and then talk to others about it. So what we say and with what clarity determines the political effect, which takes me to one word that is not germane to this conversation, I guess, but it bothers the devil out of me. Once upon a time, there was a word, a noun, impact. And then something happened to it. It became impactful. It became impacted. And why? And again, it's sort of like the same problem that we're having generally. I think the principal problem is some people don't know how to use the word effect or affect. You know, like somebody punched Trump in the face to good effect. This is just an illustration. I'm not proposing it for anybody. Trump's incompetence is adversely affecting our economy. There's something. So why can't we use words like that that are more precise and that explain to us what is actually being spoken about? Now, this word is just annoying. It makes me cringe from time to time. So go forth and do what you're doing. If you have elements of style, look it up. They have all sorts of illustrations in there. Probably. It's been a long time since I looked at it myself. And I think anybody who's writing or talking should once in a while go back and read that book. Because it's I think the clearest description of how to use our language. Now, more important than the abuse to the language by impacted, or more to the point, the imprecision of language is impacting, Jaron, our society. Okay, so here's the word that I think we should be focusing on. Because this word's more important because it covers a multitude of sins, but is so imprecisely invoked, no one knows what it's about. Weaponized. Something is being weaponized. Now, what exactly is that? What's being weaponized? What does that mean? Now, I think because they don't know precisely what they're talking about when they say it, weaponized is another word to substitute for the words that should be used instead that are precise. So, for example, how about corrupt bargains? Quid pro quo with Maxwell. Usurping the law, bribery. How about those things? How about conflicts of interest? You know, when the counsel to the president is negotiating with a number one sex offender, perhaps in the history of America, to give her immunity of some sort, if you would just say Trump is not involved in any of her terrible conduct, that's something we should be concerned about. And, you know, when we have unlawful conduct, we often have criminal conduct. We could have impeachable conduct. We could have censure in the Congress. We can do all manner of things. Trump is the master of the quid pro quo. Usually, the exchange is illegal, unlawful, a bribe, a gratuity, something he wants. And it is the biggest, perhaps, of all lies. And when you combine Trump's, quote, power with firing and coercing people, saying black is white and white is black, as he did with the BLS statistics. So you get this is it. So let's not talk about weaponizing. Let's talk about lies and corruption and unlawful conduct. Let's talk about betraying the supposed purpose of an independent, impartial Department of Justice, which they still say, though they're not anything like that. Yesterday, we were told the vice president was going to have a meeting at his little shack in Washington, D.C. with other people. And I suggested, hey, I wonder if that was about the 25th Amendment and removing Trump. But anyhow, the story was that they were going to meet and talk about how to handle Epstein, the Epstein affair, how it was compromising the presidency. Nobody told us he had to do it. Of course, no person who was affected by these terrible attacks on children was going to be at that meeting. And so yesterday, they called the reporter a liar, basically, for saying there was going to be a meeting, and they called it a hoax. And then what do? They moved the meeting to the White House, and they had it there last night. There is nothing these guys say you can trust. Now, what does it tell you about them? Remember how long it took for our TV and radio hosts to use the word lie. They lie. They lie all the time about everything. All these people observing the White House, wrapping themselves around axles, trying to blunt what anybody with a minimal IQ could comprehend and recoil from. So what is going on? The truth is, Trump is hiding what he did, with whom he did it. So he's got Maxwell, the grand predator with Epstein, to say, Trump's okay. I don't know anything that I would consider that he had done wrong. And she said that after she was moved to a low security prison, a camp out in Texas. So how long will she stay there before she's released? What do you think? Maybe she won't be released. Maybe Trump has gotten what he needs, what he wants. Sorry, I didn't want to get hit by a motorcycle. Or this thing, whatever it is. My sleepy road, not so sleepy. So what is it, what are the words that describe this conduct, that inform our discretion, that America's being had, again, by the con men and grifters about something critical to the definition of who we are as a nation? This is called consciousness of guilt. When you obstruct First Amendment access to the information needed to make a judgment, you're doing it because you're consciously thinking, I'm guilty, and they'll find out if they get that. They fear, Trump fears especially, he'll be taken down. What happens when a cop comes upon a person, cops in a uniform, the person throws down a stash on the ground and runs? Consciousness of guilt. They know they're about to be caught, so they escape. So if I'm covering up and destroying documents and hiding them and so forth, that's consciousness of guilt. What is he guilty of? What is this all about? We've seen him in all those pictures with all those people, particularly young girls. And some people are still scratching their head. What is this about? Oh, could he be doing this for that? And you know, they keep playing the game. How does he keep MAGA in line? That's not the question. The question is, why do we have a president like this who's obviously conscious of guilt involving what Epstein was doing or what Maxwell was doing, and apparently he was probably doing or sanctifying, or he was a source to bring down Epstein, or he was giving other people up. Who knows? All this stuff is out there. Maybe he's gay, or he swings both ways, and in his bizarre way, he doesn't want us to know that. Whatever it is, what he's doing is lawless. It involves bribery. It involves usurping the laws of the land. It involves all manner of misconduct And it's not about making the function of the department some sort of machine for evil. It is a basket of crimes, unlawful behavior, corruption, favoritism, discrimination, getting even, all these things. That's what we have to be saying. Because nobody knows what this other stuff is about. Another example of this is those crazy Republicans in Texas want to go and arrest those members of the state legislature who decided to deny Texas a quorum if they were going to go and basically violate the Voting Rights Act by redrawing lines of representation for Congress in such a way that blacks and Hispanics would be compromised. Good show. Good show. Trump is the most liberal person you'll ever meet. He said it himself. So what do we buy? Do we buy what they do? Or do we listen to what they say and allow ourselves to be contorted and distorted into some sort of 2 + 2 = 5 society that defers to anything he says and we accept it as it is true when we know it is not true? So in the category of usurping the law, Texas wants the FBI to go and arrest those Democratic representatives in Texas who've decided to take a powder in Illinois and New York and wherever else they are. And here's the kicker. As a prosecutor, I used a statute, they call them UFAPs, unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. There's no prosecution here. There's no crime violated. The FBI has no jurisdiction. You know, maybe they should get brown shirts and go out now and just drop the pretense that we have a law enforcement body. After all, we've done that with ICE. And so we have to start talking about things as they are, instead of how we don't understand. We don't understand, we do. We don't want to see it. Why? Because, I don't know, corporate media sits on your head or fires your ass if you don't do what they say. And they want you to do what they say because Trump wants them to say that to you, lest the FCC present problems for those who are publishing the material they are. Sometimes true, sometimes not. Sometimes blunt, mostly not. There have been exceptions, marvelous exceptions, and we'll be writing about the prizes that they get for the fact that they stood up to this wannabe dictator. And that's really important. So, what am I saying today? I'm saying language matters. Our language matters. I was with, and forgive me if I've told this story already, but I was with a panel of people discussing some issues. I don't know if it was on or off the record. And it was just civilians, that's you and I, we, the people. And one person at the meeting said, if a child is starving halfway around the world, what does that have to do with me? They're not here, I'm okay. And I said, how could you possibly be that way? And I think I did mention John Donne before. And then this woman realized what he was saying. And she sort of almost jumped up a little bit, like, an inch or so. Her posture stiffened. And then she says, wow, how could you be that way? That's the connection that we have to make in America. And hiding behind language, because we don't understand the precision necessary to describe something, is to fail to report, fail to persuade, and to become an inert respondent to the all-time crisis of America's identity as a republic or not. So that's what I got to say. And I'll be out again tomorrow. I say goodbye from my cathedral of trees. Bye-bye.